Welcome to episode 231 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast, even though I typed 131 because I keep doing that shit. I didn't have Katie here to yell at me about it, but tonight it's me and Robert. Katie's off being the...
James, how can you be so dumb?
Good job. Way to fill in.
Yep, had to fill in for Katie. Had to get her back.
Let's do of us tonight. Let's go ahead and knock out our sponsor stuff so we can get into the show. I don't have the stuff written for Lil's Shop of Horrors, but if you want high quality feeders, rodents, roaches, check out Lil's Shop of Horrors. It's LIL' Shop of Horrors on Facebook. Lewis over there is an awesome guy. We've got to hook up with him and go out to West Texas and go herping.
Mm-hmm.
And the weather is actually starting to get bearable outside. So
yeah, it's supposed to be back in the 90s again, starting tomorrow and for the foreseeable future.
Shut up. Right now, it's nice outside.
Yeah,
and I don't want to die when I walk out. And there's a breeze because, there's a tropical storm, so we got a little bit of breeze off of that. But it is missing us. Robert and I were starting to get some PTSD from the last hurricane. Yeah, as we saw this one was supposed to come this way, and then they were like, "It could be a 2." I'm like, "What the fuck?" But no, It is the other side of Louisiana and Mississippi's problem. So, and then I was afraid it was going to hit my house in Louisiana. I'm like, "Fuck!" I'm trying to sell that thing. And then it moved farther east, and now it's going to miss my house. So my tortoises and my house should be good.
And it just officially became a hurricane.
Damn. Well, everyone down on the coast of Louisiana, all our friends on the coast of Louisiana, and Baton Rouge, probably New Orleans. I think because the last time I saw it was landing between New Orleans, Lake Charles, that Baton Rouge area, and then going up to Mississippi. Hope y'all all do well. Hope y'all make it through. Hopefully it dies quickly. Because I can tell you, the last hurricane for us was rough. So I'm not sad. Plus, we also have a concert. Robert and I are going to a concert tomorrow night, and I've been looking forward to it for 6 months. And then all of a sudden, there was a hurricane coming on the night of the concert. I was like, "You got to be shitting me!" Of all nights to have a hurricane, and it's an outside venue. I'm like, and it was rain or shine. I'm like, rain or shine. I don't think happens in a hurricane, but it's not going to happen now. So we're good.
Well, I'll tell you there, James, if it's raining tomorrow night, I probably will not be going and standing outside watching cake.
Yeah. It should not be raining. It should be done raining by noon, I think, tomorrow, if it rains at all. So, and it's going to be in the 70s. So with shorts and a t-shirt, and I will actually be comfortable outside until the next day when it's 93 degrees. Old Sea Anal side had tornadoes. What the fuck was up with tornadoes in Canada? What are y'all doing up there? You know what? It's because y'all have ketchup chips. You deserve to get hit by a tornado. Ketchup chips and bagged milk. Yes, Kyle. I love cakes. 15-year-old me is going ape shit about cake tomorrow night.
Yeah. For me, it's 19, 20-year-old cake.
And then later this month, I get to go see Weezer. And then I get to go see Sum 41. So, high school James is having the best month.
Well, I'm glad that you're seeing Weezer again because the company you had last time.
No, better company this time. But 39, almost 40-year-old me fucking hates getting old. I found out today that I have a hernia. I have an umbilical hernia, which is not the one where your intestines get dropped into your nutsack or whatever. I don't have that one. I'm good there. I'm not going to lose intestines. But it's in your belly button. Fuck. Every time I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing something good for my health," something fucking else happens. So stop getting old. Anybody out there listening, don't get old. Kyle, you can afford concerts if you do the paying for. That's how we do that shit. All those ticket they'll let you pay in for, and you can afford concerts now. Well, some concerts. I didn't go see Blink-182 because as much as I love Blink-182, I wasn't paying $150 a ticket.
Yeah,
for the cheap tickets. Trust me, cake didn't cost that much. Weezer didn't cost that much. Sum 41 not costing that much. Anyways, Little Shop of Horrors, go check them out. I know I've rambled on. Also, go check out Cold-Blooded Caffeine and get you some coffee. And so I've got to order coffee. Go order some coffee and some tea from them and use code Reptile Gumbo and save 10%. Sure. And then 5% of your proceeds go to save the rainforest. So if you want to do good for conservation and you like coffee or tea, go check out Cold-Blooded Caffeine and use our code Reptile Gumbo, all one word, and save 10%. And also if you use our code or link that we have over on our Facebook page, we get a little bit from that. So we would appreciate that. Also check out VivTech products. Get you some LED UVB light bulbs. Go check out VivTech products for light bulbs and for all of your smart devices and everything else they do over there. Those people over at VivTech are great. We love them. They're amazing. And I'm leaving. Oh, Herps. I got pulled up. Herps Reptile shows. Let's see. We got one coming up this weekend, which I'll be at. This is the Conroe, Texas show, September 14th, September 15th. If you can make it on short notice to Conroe, I will be there set up with podcast stuff, doing some interviews. So come by and see us. If you see me, say hi. Katie should be there on Sunday. And then maybe I'll get Hayden to fill in for her again on Saturday. And we'll talk about leeches on our nipples again, which was just an odd conversation last time.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, it got weird. Belton, Texas, October 5th. October 5th, October 6th. Then over the Rosenberg, Texas show, November 2nd, November 3rd. I will be there with the podcast, and I'll have snakes. Come see me. I've got boas. They're ready to go. Well, some of the prettier ones still have decided not to eat yet, but they will either eat eventually or they'll get to hang out with my king snake. Sulphur, Louisiana, November 9th, November 10th. I was going to go to that one, but my kid has got like a volleyball tournament, and I've got to be a dad. Ugh, gross. West Monroe, Louisiana, November 16th, November 17th. Denison, Texas, November 23rd, November 24th. That's too far north for me. Austin, Texas, December 7th, December 8th. We'll see how I feel in December when we go to Austin. And then Slidell, Louisiana, December 14th, December 15th for those last minute Christmas shopping ideas. So go check them out. I think, yeah. And then after that, it's January. So that's your last one in December. Last one this year. Look, Antoine's in the chat. How's it going, that's Antoine? Awesome. All right. I think I got everything. And we can get to our guest. You have anything else, Robert? Nothing. No. I don't think I have anything else. I'm waiting on Sambo to have babies at some point.
Watching my dog, hoping he's not choking to death.
Well, I hope not. No, okay, we're good. All right, let's bring in our guest for tonight. It's been almost a month since our guest has been here, so it means it's about that time again. Our guest is Michael Taylor for the Texas Carpetfest. How's it going, Michael?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. It's been about a year since the Carpetfest, so it's been about a year since you've been on here.
That's about right. Yeah, sounds right. Excited to be back.
So give your elevator speech about Carpetfest real quick, and then we can get into some of it, and we'll definitely talk about where it's being held because it's the coolest place on earth. But go ahead.
It is the coolest place on earth. That's one of the best things about it, I think, in my opinion. But Saturday, October 19th, we're going to be having Texas Carpetfest 2024. We're going to be doing that in Johnson City at Reptilandia Zoo. If you've not been to RE&Q's Zoo in Johnson City, you need to go. The event's worth going, honestly, just for that. So we're going to be out there from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. On Saturday, October 19th. We're going to feed everybody. We're going to have some burgers and dogs, brats, probably some boudin. It's going to be a bring your own event. So if you want to bring some adult beverages, you're welcome to do that. We do ask that you wait till after 5 to consume those adult beverages because the zoo's open to the public until 5. So we kind of want the public to filter out a little bit before.
And it's a kid-friendly zoo, so.
And it is a kid-friendly zoo, and it's a kid-friendly event. If you have kids, bring them. But just be aware that there's probably going to be some adult language. But last year, everybody was very well behaved. We didn't have any craziness or shenanigans going on last year. So it is a family-friendly event. If you want to bring your children out, you're welcome to do that, and we encourage that. So probably most importantly, no live animals. We don't want you bringing your animals. We always got that part of it covered. There's plenty of cool animals to look out there. We don't need you to bring yours from home, but we would like people to come out and see us. And, I kind of think of it as a backyard barbecue with all your favorite reptile nerd friends. That's kind of the vibe we're going for, kind of an informal hangout for people to see each other face to face, meet each other from not behind a keyboard, maybe share some stories and tips and tricks and just to get to know one another and see some old friends and make some new ones.
This will be my second Carpetfest because I went to the Southeast Carpetfest, the one in Florida in like 19.
I think. Yeah, I missed that one. I really wish I'd have made that one, but I did not make that one, unfortunately.
Just
that was
before
COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Their place is amazing too.
Yeah, that place is great. Many a story. I just never made it out there yet.
Yeah, that's where I got to stare face to face with a black mamba, and it's fucking creepy. Sorry, I'm double checking that our place got booked for our trip to Carpetfest. Just wanted to messaging, make sure.
Please do. It's the fall. It's Texas. It's the hill country. It's better to book early than late. So if you're listening tonight or watching tonight, hadn't booked your place, please book it now because spots are filling up out there.
Yeah, so I didn't go last year, and I hate it. But like I said, I have been to a Carpetfest, and it is a ton of fun to just hang out with people, even if you've never met them, or sometimes they're people that you've just known online, or that like you finally put a name to a face to a name that you've seen online or someone talk about. There'll be several people that we've had on the show that will be there. Corey will be there. I think, right?
Corey might be in Australia. I think she has an Australia trip planned,
That-
so she may be in Australia.
That bitch. But you know what? She'll be here next week. I already booked her next week. She's on here next week, so I can yell at her about it then.
There you go, scold her. Yeah, I've had no success in trying to get her to cancel Australia trip to come hang out at.
Australia's not as cool as I can't even finish that statement.
Right?
I'll tell you, I told Corey last night, I told her that the most impressive thing about her to me is how good she is at stuff in such a short amount of time.
Amen. She's awesome. She is to watch
what
her
she's done
journey. What a treat it is to watch her go through all those species and have success with them.
Yes,
Not
what
just
she's
to buy
done
a
with
bunch of them and
monitors.
suck at it, but to buy them and breed them and be successful, and then to do it with monitors in such a ridiculously short amount of time.
Yeah, and then her photography lately has been killer.
Yeah. If you haven't looked at the Jaguar trip or the Brazil trip, that stuff's amazing.
Looks like Lewis will be there too.
Sweet.
Yep.
Sweet. So we've talked about Lewis. We've had him on here. So if anybody comes, you get to see him. There's going to be others. I know there'll be others because it's just most of our friends are in Texas and we've all had them on podcast at some point.
I think Megan's going to be there. I know she's been. She's
coming.
Group, so
Joe and Brittany from Repticulture, who we've had on here, should be there.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, if you've never been to Reptilandia alone, it's worth going.
Lewis.
There's Lewis right there. Like I said, it's hard to call it a zoo because it's not going to be like any zoo anybody else has ever been to. I also don't think they're allowed to hire anybody with a normal name. So I think that's a rule there. But yeah, no, I want to reiterate your whole don't bring animals. Guys, there's nothing you're going to bring to their zoo that will impress them.
Nope.
And honestly, for a lot of us, there's nothing you're going to bring that will impress us from our own collection. And that's not a knock on you. It's just, look, there's a Chinese alligator in my kitchen right now. There's not shit you can bring that's going to impress me over the Chinese alligator I get to go feed after I get off this podcast. So,
yeah, they've got an amazing collection out there. And you're right, it's probably not really a zoo. It's probably just like the most awesomest reptile collection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really is just the displays.
It's a dream
are great.
reptile room.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, there's no way to explain the croc monitor enclosure. That alone, just every time I see it, every time I think about it, is the most amazing. But just seeing the behavior of some of those animals, like talking about the tree monitors, seeing that tree monitor have that whole cage and it only sits at the top of that tree all the time. Like it's up 20 stories, 20 feet in the air on the second floor and rarely ever goes down to the bottom.
Yeah, he has every time I try to explain the croc monitor exhibit to somebody, I feel like I don't do anywhere vaguely adequate job of explaining how cool of an enclosure that is.
Because no one has anything to compare it to. You can't be like, unless you can be like, all right, imagine the rainforest they live in, but it's in a room. And then imagine an 8-foot monitor 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, because most zoos don't give you that chance to realize that 8-foot monitor will climb 30 feet in the air and hang out on a branch, right? You're seeing it on the ground in some cage. It's probably at max 10 feet tall with no branches big enough to really hold it a full grown. And it is what it is at a zoo. But when Quetzal built that place, I mean, it was him and Ari designed that place amazingly.
Yeah, they put in a lot of work out there. So yeah, come check us out on Saturday, October 19th. We're going to have a good time. And, there's no admission for the zoo if you're going to be there for Carpetfest. So let us know you're there for Carpetfest and hang out. And I hope to see a lot of folks there this year. Do
y'all hang out in the back area or up front?
Kind of up front. He's got that little picnic area up front, and he's added some picnic tables to that if you haven't been there recently. We're going to have some do some string lights and stuff out there for when it gets later in the evening. We'll have some lights. But we use that picnic area up front. We set the griddle and the grill up in one section. Kyle James is going to bring his Blackstone, and we're going to work from that to feed some folks.
Nice.
We kind of use that area to set up, and people are free to come and go into the zoo as they choose. Even after hours. So 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, you'll be welcome to go through the zoo again. So you can kind of see the animals, their nocturnal behavior, which is pretty cool. We had a lot of feedback last year that a lot of folks really enjoyed that and appreciated that aspect of it too.
Oh, that will be cool.
Yeah, a lot of folks. Last year a lot of folks came and they made a lap early in the day. Then they came out and visited, had something to eat, had a beverage, and then made another lap in the evening to see how the animals, might be out on their perches differently in the evening, or to see the changes in behavior. So I actually thought that was pretty cool too.
Well, I think one thing you get there with their mixed species exhibits versus like a single species exhibit. So when you go to a zoo normally and there's a snake on a branch and you make your loop around the reptile house and come back, that snake's probably still sitting there on that branch.
Right.
But like once you make your loop around Reptilandia, there's a chance you come back and it's in a completely different place. Or there's 3 other animals you didn't see on the first trip that are now moving around or doing something different. Yep. And so it'll be very interesting to see some of those things come out at night. But so we will be there. I'm excited.
Glad y'all are going to make it this year.
Darren said, how many people attended Carpetfest last year? Well, it was the first year, so I don't know how many do you think y'all had?
It's hard. Not everybody. We asked people to sign in. We had a little logbook, but not everybody signs in. My best guess is we had probably 60 to 65 last year.
That's pretty good.
I thought so. I was pretty pleased with that number. When I kind of started this 1.5 years or 2 years ago, I didn't even know if I'd get 24 people to show up. So, we got 60 or 65. I was pretty pleased with that. I'd be super pleased if, this year or next year we could double that number. I'd really like to be closer to 100 this year. And I think we've got a little more recognition. Our name's out there a little better this year. So we'll see.
And I'm not knocking you for not being cool, Michael, but I'm just thinking the location does help get that many people there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Number one, I don't want that many people in my house. Number two, yeah, there's no way. I mean, that collection, it's really the ideal place to have an event like that, right? Because RE and Q and Ryu, there are people anyway, right? They're like us, and their collection's amazing. You get to support the zoo by being there. If you want to buy something in the gift shop's going to be open. RE will make that available to you. You get to see the amount of work that you're talking about, how RE and Q designed that place, and you see the amount of work that they put into that and how that really is different than a traditional zoo, and how much better we could be doing that. They're really a good example of that. So people need to come out and take a look at it.
Yeah, like I said, I love well done mixed species exhibits. They're you could almost just put a chair in front of them and just watch, because it's like taking a snapshot of nature and seeing how things interact with each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Like Robert when we went, still the coolest thing to me was those plated lizards just basking on top of the rock python.
Yeah.
Like they're just using them as like a giant rock and just basking underneath the light.
As long as he's sitting still and he's not eating them, why not, right?
Yeah. Or watching, like I said, I never would have expected a giant yellowfoot just swimming through the water on purpose. Not like it fell in the water, but going in to swim around and then doing it again later. So,
yeah,
anyways.
It's a cool place. It really is a perfect event for us because it's got everything, and they've been really accommodating for us, and and working with the rules, and are making some friendly rules for us to be there. So I really appreciate them opening up the zoo, to make that a reality for us.
And also for anybody listening, when you hear Carpetfest, please don't get tripped up by the name, right? So if anybody doesn't know the history of Carpetfest, right, it started with Owen and Eric. Jesus, I'm sorry.
Yep. Owen and Eric in the Northeast, the NPR guys.
Yeah, and they were carpet guys, and it was their carpet guys hanging out, but theirs has even grown really past the size of what their house could hold.
Yeah,
it's not just carpet people.
Yeah.
And
I'm a Morelia guy, and I like carpet pythons, and that's kind of how I got into it. And obviously, I got the idea of we stole it or borrowed it from Eric and Owen. That's where it obviously comes from. This is not an original idea. We're not changing the wheel here or reinventing the wheel. This is it really, if anything, it's it's an homage of what they've done, because they started doing that 10 or 12 years ago. They've made that really a successful event. And, they've done other events around the country, like you're talking about the Southeast Carpetfest, and there was a southern one here in Texas for a number of years that kind of fizzled out, and no one was doing a Texas one down here, so I just figured it was time to do it again. And
I think they tried a Northwest one at one point.
I think they had that one. Yeah, I didn't make that one, but I'm pretty sure that one took off. I think that one's a thing. It happened.
So, but I think it's great that you're doing the one here, because it's hard. Look, if you're in Texas, it's hard really to go anywhere else, just because how huge the state is alone. But to get to like Pennsylvania, get to Florida, get to the West Coast, it's awesome to have one here, and we have a big enough group of people just in Texas alone to make that a big event.
We've got some amazing breeders here in Texas, and they're not all going to be at the event. Obviously, I wish they would, but
Hey, is
there's
Bill
really
coming?
some amazing people in the hobby that are going to be here. So, or they're in the state. What's that?
Is Bill coming down?
Bill's not. Bill's got a prior engagement, so I've leaned on him 2 years in a row to get him to come down. But October is just a tough month for him because it's I think his anniversary or his wife's birthday is in October. Plus, he's a skeet shooter. I think he's got a competition that usually falls in October. Tinley falls on the 12th.
Yeah.
It's a busy month. People got things to do. I get it.
Yeah, he sucks anyways. No one go look at Bill Stiegel stuff. He's not good.
That's not true. Bill's supporting the event this year. He's one of our sponsors, and I'm very proud of him.
We had him on before, and it's just so like even like my dad, who's not a reptile person, when we had Bill on and saw like some of his animals, he goes, "Holy crap!" I was like, "Yeah, that's what he makes." I mean, he does also have ball pythons, but you know what? Not everybody's perfect. So,
don't you still have a ball python?
Shh, stop.
My bad.
We just got or is about to get another one.
But I'm hoping to get rid of some before I bring that one here. So I'm trying to balance the scales. You can't have too many of them in the collection at one time.
That's
but yeah, I'm excited. And like I said, no one get hung up on the name. It is a reptile person hangout. Like all the stuff that you like. So it really is what it turns into is a lot of us vend shows, right? And if you're really vending a show, you don't get to spend time with the people you really want to hang out with at a show because you're busy actually working. Now, trust me, there are people that don't, and they don't sell a lot because they're not at the table. But if you're at your table, you don't really get to hang out. And so this is really that event without the show. It's you finally getting to hang out with the other reptile people and do stuff that you would normally do at a show, but you don't have to deal with customers.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I was at NARBC in Dallas this past weekend, and I wasn't vending. I was just up there to hang out and visit. But even as you're going around, you don't get to visit with everybody you want to because they got a customer or they're answering questions or they're doing something. I don't want to take time away from them trying to make a sale because, they're trying to make a living or they're trying to make a nickel. And, so even then you don't get to visit with them or you don't get to visit for as long as you want to. So, this is a way for people just to relax. You don't have to answer a bunch of customer questions or do a customer service spiel or whatever it is you're doing. You don't have to explain your animals to folks. These are going to be reptile people that know what you're doing. They know what you keep. It's great if you keep Morelia and you keep carpet pythons, but if you don't, man, come anyway. There's going to be a lot of people that are into different stuff there.
Yeah.
So it's really like you said before, it's reptile people. It's our tribe.
Well, it gives you a chance to talk to folks about what they have in their collection, and you really get to talk to people. Like it's hard online because it's hard. You can't really have a conversation online. It's not a real conversation. And so there you get to talk to people about what they have in their collection. Sometimes you get to hear about things that you didn't realize they had, or if you have questions about something, you've always been like, man, I really wonder what it's like to keep this or to breed this. People are glad it's not to sit down and just talk about that for an hour or two. It's something like this.
Yeah, just to give you an example, that Terry Burwell made it last year, and he does a lot of cool animals. But I have a pair of black milk snakes in the house, and Terry got his collection started doing black milk snakes. So you had two guys at the event for Carpetfest, and we were there talking probably for 45 minutes about black milk snakes, which don't have anything to do with Morelia or carpet pythons. So,
but it's still a ton of fun.
Yeah, they're cool snakes, and yeah, it's a great fun. And Terry's awesome, and yeah, it's a cool event.
Yeah, and you get people from all spectrums. You get people that have their very first snake and they heard about it and they're like, I'm going to go because it's a chance to do that. And then you get people who've been in the hobby for 30, 40 years who also will sit down and just talk to you about anything. So everybody, if you get a chance, come out to it. Come see us. We'll be there. Say hi.
Please do. We'd love to have you.
If I have to sleep in my car, I'll sleep in my car, but I'll be there. I'll have a place somewhere.
If y'all don't have a place, let me know offline and we'll figure something out. And I have some potential options.
Just going to put a sleeping bag in the middle of Reptilandia and see if they'll kick me out or not.
That might actually be one of them. So let me know and we'll figure that out.
But so yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Now I want to get to our question. It's funny. The question you wanted me to post, Michael, actually, Robert was like, we should get somebody on to talk about this topic right now because of everything that's going on. And then you gave me that question. I was like, hey, this works perfectly.
I'm curious to see what people think. I don't know. I mean, I have some opinions, but I'm not an expert on any of those topics. I'm curious to see what people think about it. I'm very interested too.
There's some, it's kind of all over the place. So we'll go through and we'll talk about them. But it says, what are your thoughts on venomous keepers and their access to anti-venom? Should they have their own or rely on zoos and hospitals? We can do this one of a few ways. We can go through this first, or we can go into why we are actually talking about it this week. And I think everybody knows, but we can still talk about it.
Let's do the why first, just in case there's somebody out there that hasn't. somehow possibly heard the story.
Well, what's funny, so it was a weird like week for snake bites.
Yeah.
Because there was the person who thought they were holding a rat snake, which ended up being a baby timber rattlesnake. And then later got in the hospital because it bit them. Please, if you don't know for sure, even if you know for sure, maybe don't pick it up. Just be very careful. Like, especially if you're having to post a picture of, hey, am I right? You probably shouldn't have it in your hand. So there was that post. That was one. And then the one that got this going, and the one that is all over the internet, and the one that is now, unfortunately, I think on like our national news in some places, is I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. How do you say his name?
Leibowitz?
I don't know. Leibowitz, maybe. Yeah, I'm not for sure. But
anyways,
that sounds right.
Let me preface this with, if anybody gets offended easily, probably don't listen to me over the next 5 minutes, because I have zero patience for this dude. After I've done even a deeper dive into the actual man, I find him to be a piece of shit. And I say that because he's a teacher and I'm a teacher. I'm a reptile keeper. He's a reptile keeper. And I don't want to be lumped into two things with this guy. And he definitely shouldn't be a teacher. But he runs one of the venomous Facebook groups. And apparently that makes him feel like he's an expert. And he's a free handler, which we've talked about here a lot. That it's irresponsible. I don't care how much you think, whatever. You do it in your bedroom by yourself with the doors closed and locked. And that way, if you die, no one has to hear about it. But he's called out people in the past for one, not free handling, basically, for using tools and calling them pussies and calling this and said anti-venom is for pussies, which makes this whole thing really fucking ironic.
Yeah.
But he posted a picture or a video of him holding an inland taipan the other day, which, by the way, if you don't know, if you're listening to this, you're not, it's really fucking venomous. Like,
yeah,
it depends on how you're doing the math and all, but it's top 2 or 3. And it could be 1, 2, or 3, depending on which ones you're talking about. But it's really fucking venomous. And he posted a picture holding it. And then shortly afterwards, I had to post a post about asking if anybody had any anti-venom for one, and if they could send it to the hospital near him. Because the fucker got bit. And if you go, I hate people, I know he's gotten a ton of hits on like his Instagram lately because of this, on his Facebook. But it's just nothing but him free handling cobras, and I think there were some boom slings in there at one point. And yeah, so now he's in a hospital right now, trying not to die, from what I understand. Possible liver failure or kidney failure, I mean. And they're just, it's a bad thing. It's all over everywhere. And it's it's not even just reptile people seeing it now. It's everyone seeing it. And so I'll let y'all, what are your thoughts on the whole thing, Michael?
Well, I mean, first, I don't have any. The free handlers disappoint me because I just think it's irresponsible to begin with. The guy's attitude towards anti-venom and some of the other things he said is pretty shocking and pretty amazing, in all the wrong ways. The free handling frustrates me to begin with, and then to present. I mean, you're talking about being lumped in with somebody. I think sometimes as reptile keepers, we all get lumped in with these guys that are free handling and do silly stuff and end up on the news for the wrong reasons. So that's always aggravating and frustrating too, right? Because, we have an opportunity as keepers to educate people, and then you got knuckleheads like him out there that are doing the opposite. They're turning people off from our hobby, and everybody thinks, oh, we're keeping a bunch of dangerous snakes in our homes, and most of us, the vast majority of us, are not. Mm-hmm. I do think people should be allowed to keep whatever they want. I'm not advocating government searching your home or any of that kind of nonsense. I do wish people be a little more prepared, particularly if you've got something that's exotic. So I do think you have some responsibility. Where that line is, I don't know, and I'm curious to see what others think. But I do think you have some responsibility to be somehow prepared, and even for the local hospitals and your local EMS providers to be knowledgeable and prepared about what it is you keep too, because whoever responded to him, as a first responder that day, probably hadn't run on a lot of inland taipan bites.
Yeah, they probably never seen one or even know what it is, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, exactly. Probably was like, is that a kind of cobra? What is that? Yeah. So, I mean, most of them didn't even know what it is. So I think you have some responsibility to be involved in that community and just be a little more of an adult, not to be too harsh, but so. Whether they need to buy it or not, man, I don't know. There's a lot of other issues that too with the logistics of what it costs and how you have to keep it and the expiration dates. And stuff like that. I don't know, but there has to be some level of responsibility. I just, for him just to be posting YouTube videos and running his own little Facebook group and doing silly stuff, and then now he's going to take a bed in the hospital and a ventilator and, maybe potentially taking, I don't know where his antivenom came from. Eventually,
I'll tell you where it didn't come from: the Kentucky Reptile Zoo.
Right.
They said they weren't sending him any, which I loved.
I have no problem with their decision and that's part of the question too, right? Is like, at one point in time, does his tomfoolery trump them keeping their people safe and sound, right? Because they
owe him nothing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a better way to put it. They don't owe him that. So, where do people stand on that? Should they send it anyway? Should they have not have? I don't know. But I'm with you. I don't think they owe him anything. I don't, I think if you're going to, it's kind of the play stupid games, win stupid prizes, kind of mentality.
As someone who worked at a zoo, and I worked at a zoo that didn't have antivenom at the time, but they do now. They didn't have it at the time. So the rules don't get bit.
Were they not APA?
Well, they were. We got in trouble. That's why the snake had to go away for a while and then come back once they got antivenom. But I was already gone at that point. My rule there was just don't get bit. Yeah, everything we had was native except for the gaboon. That was the one thing. The gaboon couldn't. Everything else was native. We'd been fine, but the gaboon antivenom was 2 hours away by helicopter. So don't get bit. But again, I didn't go in. I had to lay hands on it once or a couple times to do injections, but it was all done in tubes and with safety equipment as a professional. But like I said, zoos that have that antivenom don't owe him anything, because what if tomorrow they have to move that snake out of that enclosure for whatever reason it is, or they have to do some sort of, it gets injured and they have to take it out and someone gets bit. And now they don't have the antivenom for their own employee doing what they were supposed to be doing because some idiot didn't listen to everyone and then got bit. So yeah, so this is the part where I'm not heartless. If you're going to be stupid, you deserve the stupid things that happen to you. And I'm not one, if I talk shit about somebody beforehand, I'm not going to be the one that afterwards go, oh no, I hope everything. I don't care if he dies. I know that sounds heartless. I don't care if he dies. He made that decision. When I was talking to my dad earlier, my dad rides motorcycles. My dad actually had a motorcycle accident on his motorcycle last year. And it was scary. Like after the phone call, I realized I could have lost both parents. They were both on the motorcycle. They're both fine now. But he went out and bought a much better helmet and all that later. And, in Texas, it's so fucking weird. You can ride a motorcycle without a helmet in Texas. I can't drive a car without a seatbelt. I'll get a ticket. But you can ride a motorcycle without a helmet. And you can do it. Sure, you can do it. It is your right to do. It's fucking stupid. Because you can be like, I'm not going to have an accident. Well, that's not how accidents work. And this guy can be like, it's not going to bite me. Well, that's not how snakes work. And so sometimes you use safety equipment because it's the smart thing to do, not because you're trying to be cool, which is 100% why he was doing what he was doing.
Yep.
And so, it amazes me watching somebody when they do something like that, when it's a completely, you can make sure it does not happen 100%. And I will say that you can't 100% say a snake won't bite you, but if you do all the right stuff with all the right equipment, you should really never come into contact with it. And he did, and he paid for it.
Let me ask you this on a different angle. You talk about the Kentucky Reptile Zoo, not offering antivenom, and I think I saw a comment by her and somewhere in my internet travels that they were not officially asked, but she said if they were, they wouldn't have provided it. So I guess because they're just preempting the discussion, maybe. What about if another hospital has to send their supply to that hospital, right? Because there's only so much of that stuff around. So let's say your hospital from 2 states over or 6 counties over, wherever, has to send that. Well, then that community that sends the antivenom away, now that community is not protected, right? And I don't know, it feels like there's some responsibility issues there and some accountability issues that need to be addressed.
Well, unfortunately, that's unfortunate. The thing there, the big difference is doctors, so a hospital, first thing they have to do, because they took an oath, is save lives, right?
Just to treat him. If he shows up on the doorstep, they have to treat him. Absolutely.
They have to treat him. Yeah. And so if they have it, it has to go there. Big difference between that and a private place like a zoo going, look, we got our own stuff. Yeah. But yes, at the same time, that does screw over the hospital who has to send it, because by oath, they got to send it. They can't be jerks and be like, no, I don't say jerks. because I'm not calling the reptile zoo as jerk. I side with them 100% on this. But a hospital can't be like, nah, we're gonna keep it.
Right.
So,
I mean, like he's in South Carolina, I guess, or North Carolina, wherever he's at. The Carolinas.
I think.
You know, if Miami has
South
to send
Carolina.
their stock of anti-venom up there, now Miami either has less or none. You know, then Miami, the community that bought that is now doesn't have any. I don't know. It seems like they're getting gypped too.
Yeah, it's just, there was so I want to go through the answer. There was one answer in here when they said it, I was like, man, that is actually a really good idea if you could feasibly do it. So I want to go through some of these.
Okay.
And then there are some that I do want to talk about because I get why they say it, but as someone in the hobby, I think that's also an irresponsible answer as well. Brian Lovitz, our friend Brian Lovitz said, Brian, maybe. I wonder if Brian's going to be it. I don't know. I don't keep pots, but I think if you're keeping a species that a hospital wouldn't have antivenom for, you should have it on hand or make arrangements with a local hospital in case it is needed. And I will, before we get into this, we know antivenom is expensive. It's really expensive, especially here in the States, because we've had some people on that talk about antivenom like in Africa versus here. It's very expensive here. Not only is it's expensive for them to open it, put it in a needle, and put it in you. That price alone is like $100,000. Like it's crazy how expensive it is to get a vial of antivenom here. And so we get that. I think it's ridiculous. Just like I think insulin shouldn't be so damn expensive in the States either. So that is a problem for a lot of this, but it is what it is. Shane Bruno, this was an answer that I get it, and it is the mentality of a lot of people, but we can't afford it to be. Shane's answer was none of my business. And my reply to Shane is, but it is. And here's why. If you own a ball python, this dumbass getting bit by his snake is your business still, because we're in a hobby that is constantly under harassment to try and be ended. And it's not just ending the guy that owns the inland taipan. It's trying to end it for the kid that owns a ball python. And I know people will go, no, that's not the same, but it is. I'm telling you right now, if they were to outlaw guns today, they'd still outlaw BB guns, right? They may take away your assault rifle, but they're going to come for all guns. And even the BB gun, which won't kill anybody. Even the ball python, that won't kill anybody. So it's still going to affect you. So you can't say it's none of your business, because at some point in the hobby, we have to try and work together to try and stop doing stupid shit, or at least stop allowing people to do stupid shit that can ruin it for the rest of us. And this is one of those things. All those snakes are dead now. All of his snakes, right, Robert? They were all euthanized.
Yep.
I think I saw that somewhere too. Yeah, what a shame, right?
And I mean, that's messed up. It's so messed up that because he couldn't do what he was supposed to. And look, and I'm not even going to go with they were all kept in tubs. That's fine. My stuff's in tubs. I mean, it's in racks, but it's organized. But I also don't have like an inland taipan in there or cobras just sitting in a tub. But someone had to go in, catch all those animals, which is also, I'm assuming they probably had to go find someone at the local nearby zoo, or I mean, because just regular animal control is not ready for.
So what I read on Viper Keeper's page that when he called 911, he didn't even tell him that he had been bitten by a venomous snake. He just basically said, "I need help." And
so even that's irresponsible, in my opinion.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And potentially have an unsafe scene for those first responders that they're wandering into.
Yep.
And he didn't even have the common courtesy or the decency to.
Right. And it's like, did he secure the inland taipan after it bit him? Did he, which supposedly he did. But yeah, if you've watched any of his videos, you can see that he had 15 venomous snakes in sterilite tubs with the cheap lids just stacked up in the room, and the room was dirty.
And who's saying something's not loose?
In an apartment complex.
Yeah. Well, and who's to say he didn't lose a cobra last week? And yeah, he secured the inland taipan, but someone walks in. He had a serval
at his. Apparently, he was in a house before this apartment, and he had a serval that escaped, and they never found.
The fuck?
Yeah.
For those who don't know, a serval is an African cat, and I've worked with them at a zoo. But they're fucking vicious when they want to be. Like, it's not just a house cat. That's crazy.
Like the African cat and the snakes are a bad mix to begin with, but that's probably a separate issue.
So yeah, like I said, I get Shane saying none of my business. And I'd like your opinions on this thought too, because this is definitely a thought in the hobby where people are like, mind your own business, do this and say, but we can't be so shut off from each other because again, we do affect each other on a large scale. That's what and I'm wearing a shirt now for US Art, right? They're fighting for us for all of this stuff. And this guy is going to now make it harder for US Art to convince folks we should be allowed to own a carpet python or even a leopard gecko.
Well, I think that's a good point too, right? Because it's just at the NRBC in Dallas, and they have their ridiculous laws about what you can sell there and what you can keep and stuff like that. Now you're going to take it out of the hands of people that actually know something about it, and you're going to put it in the hands of legislators and local and county officials and state officials to start making laws about something they don't know anything about. So now you
apparently that's already starting in South Carolina.
Oh, probably.
Well, and those guys all had a cousin that fell into a nest of cottonmouths or been chased by one or something else.
Right. Viper Keeper posted 7 hours ago. It is official. The talks have started for emergency legislation in regards to the keeping of venomous snakes in South Carolina.
See, there you go. That's a great example of it, right? Because now you're going to have people that are going to make a knee-jerk reaction that are probably, I don't mean this in a bad way, but uneducated about the topic. They're going to make a knee-jerk reaction to something. And what if they write that legislation poorly, and now it involves not just venomous snakes, but some other snake or snakes
or exotic snakes
exactly. Some word that could be interpreted any number of ways, like exotic snakes. Now that does affect how many other people, right? So, how many bad reptile laws are on the book across the country? Thousands probably,
and made by one or two out of thousands of keepers, right? One or two out of hundreds of thousands of keepers messed up, and now hundreds of thousands have to suffer because of that. And so, if this happens, they do this in South Carolina. There are tons of venomous keepers in South Carolina doing it properly, and again, not just venomous, tons of reptile keepers doing it properly, and they're going to be at the will of these people making laws and regulations and stuff off of feelings, not even off of science or fact. It's going to be off of feelings. They don't feel we should own these animals. They can have their dog, cat, or anything else, but they don't feel we should own these, and that's how they're going to make this legislation.
Yeah, and I think Megan just made a comment about politicians trying to get elected and make headlines, and that's part of it too, right? Sometimes not just knee-jerk reaction, sometimes just them trying to do the popular thing so that they can get a vote in November.
Yeah,
and this is why it's negatively, right? So.
Well, this is why it's so important that we as keepers try to educate the public as much. So we're going to have Megan hopefully on, she doesn't know this, but hopefully on in like 3 weeks to talk about her event, which is a very educational program to try and teach the public about this. And I think if someone is going to come to Carpetfest and you have a non-reptile friend that would like to come hang out, bring them.
Please.
Chance to normalize this. That's the problem, is we have to normalize having these lizards and snakes in their house and as pets, and normalize them that they're not these horrible things. Because it's very easy for a lawmaker to take this story and go, look at this. Imagine if this is next door and this bites your kid. I'm like, whoa, that's not what happened here.
Got to replace that fear with curiosity.
Yeah.
Yep. What Megan said too, they want to make knee-jerk reactions about reptiles, and yet the U.S. still has one of the worst stray dog and cat problems in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw on Talk of Manville today, James, but there was a big post about how the city of Manville, is about to officially change the laws on TNR to make it legal in the city, where they can't be punished for feeding cats and all that stuff. Because the lady that ran for mayor that I opposed and got her ass beat, she's a big TNR, and she's managed to get this pushed through.
Because everyone thinks that's
you should go comment on that when you get a chance.
Oh, I will. No TNR. TNR is
the grenade in there, Robert.
As someone who has a degree in ecology and field biology and understands the idea of invasive species, even though people won't fucking admit cats are invasive because they think they're fucking cute, TNR is the most asinine way of trying to fix a problem that doesn't actually fix the problem. For those that don't know, they catch a cat, they fix the cat, and then release the fucking cat back into the wild. They did the hard part. They caught the cat.
Yeah.
And then they put it back out there and go, yes, but it can't have more kittens. Well, the fucker can still kill stuff. It's still a small mass murderer. I'm like, it's still going to go kill shit for fun all day long. And I love when people are like, my cats don't do that. Is it a fucking cat? Then yes, it does.
Yeah.
I don't care. Your dog may not, because they're stupid. We've trained them to be pretty fucking stupid. But cats will still kill for fun all day long. And they're like, yeah, my cat does bring me little presents. Well, yeah, and then they'll be, my cat brings me birds and mice. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about, you moron. So
this dude barely manages to eat the food that I give him without choking to death. So I can't imagine him killing anything in the wild.
How often do you see a well-fed stray dog, and how often do you see a well-fed stray cat? Right? I don't see a ton of starving cats, but every stray dog I see, I'm like, ooh, that thing needs a meal, and it's eating out of a garbage can because they're not wolves anymore. They're just not. The cats are still cats, and they still want to kill. Anyways, that's my soapbox. I'm getting off my cat soapbox.
Let's say I got us off subject quick, didn't I?
Nope. I fucking.
Sorry, Michael.
No worries.
Again,
I'm not a big fan of PNR either. My local city approves it too, and unfortunately, the shelters here are big proponents of it. And it aggravates me every time I see one of their posters or advertisements or programs about it. So I'm with you.
It doesn't fix the actual problem.
Not at all.
Like it's just. It's amazing. And you know, if you replace that idea with any other animal, people are like, well, that's fucking stupid. Why would you do? Imagine wild hogs. Catch every wild hog we can. We fix them. And then we just chunk them back out there again. Well, it's still a wild hog tearing up stuff. And it can still, like, yes, it is. It's the same thing. And when you tell people that a stray cat and a wild hog are the same thing, they're like, no, they're not. I'm like, they're 100% the same thing. Yeah. They're invasive and they're doing damage. Damn it, Robert, you got me on the... All right, I'm getting back to the dumbass with the venomous snakes. I can only have one soapbox at a time, and tonight is my don't be stupid with snakes. Anyways, so long story short, Shane, I get it, but it is kind of your business. I don't know how we got it. Anyway, moving on. Friend Danielle said, I think it depends on what kind of hot. If they have something for which antivenom is relatively available in their area, that's one thing. If I think it's supposed to be if they're keeping something for which antivenom is limited supply, have their own. This is especially true if you're prone to doing dumb things. Yes, yeah, I agree. And that is one thing. You know, it's definitely different. Exotic venomous versus native venomous, right? We get bit by a rattlesnake right now. Any of our hospitals here could really help us in a relatively short amount of time.
Good, yeah.
Right, or we get to one.
I mean, I have probably 6 or 7 people that I know that have been bitten by either rattlesnakes or copperheads and got anti-venom with no problem locally.
Yeah.
So
Profab are usually available in Texas anyway. So
yeah. I want to answer C-anal side. And I don't have a ton of experience pig hunting, but I do have experience teaching in a small country-ass school where they did a lot of pig hunting. Said, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they do that down in Texas? They catch boars, castrate them, and then release them because big boars taste off compared to not.
You want me to answer this, James?
Well, I'll tell you what my kids did. I know what my students did. They would catch them, cut the nuts off, keep them pinned for enough time for all the testosterone to move through the body, and then kill them and eat them, and then offer me food. And I'm like, I'm not eating shit, and I'm not eating that. But anyways, yeah, Robert, go ahead.
It is common for guys who run dogs on pigs to catch small boars, and it's called BARR, turn them into a bar hog and release them because all of that energy that they would have put into mating, they put into just growing big and eating. And they create some giant pigs like that quick. Now, it's completely illegal in Texas to release a feral pig once you catch it, but you know that doesn't stop them from doing it. I've been on hunts before with dogs and caught bar hogs that also had their ears cut off, making them extremely, extremely dangerous for the catch dogs because that's how they catch them is by the ear.
Oh, damn.
So I've seen that happen too. Yeah.
So the difference here, old C-anal side, is that the TNR, they're trying to they sneak this in as legal. The pig thing, not so much. But I said my little redneck kids would keep them pinned up until they ran all that out of their bodies, and then they cook them up and eat them, and then come offer it to me at school. And I'm like, I'm not eating shit from one. I'm not eating stuff from your house. 2, I'm not eating that. Christina on the question says, do whatever is safest for your situation. Leaves a lot of leeway. The problem is sometimes it needs to be what's safest for your situation and others that may be pulled into your situation, which is what a lot of this kind of is an issue with. Mike Wood just simply said have their own. Timmy said if they can have their own, it's awesome. I understand why most don't. Price, access, how fast it expires, which is an issue. It does. It's not something. It's not Advil. You can't just throw it on the shelf and be good for a while. I think they should have a protocol in place where they know how to get a hold of some in case of an emergency. Contact local hospitals or zoos, etc. All should be considered before purchasing the animal. And Robert, you had mentioned about the fact that he had no protocols for any of this stuff, right?
Well, yeah. What's his name? The guy everybody's buys bite protocols from, Joe, whatever, in Florida. Anyway, he said, yeah, he reached out to him once, but never actually ordered them from him. And he's also had like already blocked Spencer Green before because Spencer had tried to tell him he was an idiot, and several of the other people who were very knowledgeable about treating these snake bites. He had blocked all of them from his personal page and from his groups because, he was smarter than they were.
We are, by the way, going to have Spencer on in several weeks. He's got a busy life right now and he's got a lot going on, but I did reach out to him. We're going to have him on because I'm sure Spencer's view on all this will be enlightening.
I think it'll be, yeah.
I also will tone down my hatred of cats when I talk to Spencer because he's got lots of cats.
But they're indoor cats.
They are indoor cats and they're rescues. So here's my dad. My dad replied again. My dad, not a reptile person, but he is a gun person. So it's funny. A lot of what we deal with in the hobby, gun people have been dealing with for a long time. As far as legislation type stuff, they just have way more money to help make sure that theirs don't go away. But he said, as someone fairly close to the hobby, but not in the hobby, I probably have a little bit of a different view on the subject. I feel that it is incredibly irresponsible to keep venomous animals and not keep the antivenom. In my mind, you can't afford the antivenom. You can't afford to keep the animal. It's not just about protecting yourself, but it's also about protecting visitors to your house and first responders, which again, we talked about because those guys walked in that house really not knowing what they were walking into. Yeah. Because there's no way anyone walked into that house knowing what they were going to walk, even if they were told guys got venomous snakes. That's a completely different situation.
Yeah.
Being a big proponent of smaller government, I don't think there should be, as my dad, there should have to be a law governing this, but I do wish that common sense would be the rule in these situations. He said, my dad also, after came back and replied, he said, I see a few comments stating the responsible keeping greatly reduces your chances of being bitten. And he agrees 100%, but where he disagrees is that I don't feel it's possible to responsibly keep hots without also keeping the appropriate antivenom, which I get that as well. And he and I had the whole conversation about, talking about helmets too, because, you can ride a bike responsibly, but it's probably not really responsible riding a bike without a helmet on. This is the one. Okay. I think this is the one I think that I really liked and kind of got me thinking, and I'd like y'all's opinions. And again, the three of us don't keep hots. So if someone out there going, well, that's stupid. Tough shit. Go listen to a different podcast. But this is our opinions. So Teddy says, I often have wondered if the main issue is the hassle of paperwork for importing and proper storage, why there isn't some sort of buyers club where all the keepers of a certain species in a given area, all between them, contribute towards the cost of extra antivenom to be stored somewhere like a local venomous keeping zoo or extraction lab or private person that's doing it on a large enough scale to justify having the product at their own facility. And I thought about that. That seems like probably the most logical way to do this, especially when because I told my dad that when he goes, yeah, but how many people keep venomous? And I'm like, in our area alone, hundreds.
Yeah, more than you think.
Hundreds of people. I mean, the amount of cobras that people own in this area, it's a lot. And yeah, if there was some sort of like co-op or some sort of deal where everybody's like, look, we'll all chip in on this, and it's insurance, right? Is everyone in that group going to end up needing it? No. But if everyone chips in a fraction, that's basically their insurance pay, and one or two people need it, it was 100% worth it.
I bet you could even find a vet that would let you use their facility to store it. Because, basically you're talking about a refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, you don't need a 10,000.
So one thing that has come out,
you need a fridge.
One thing that has come out that I saw is Zoe Renee on Facebook. She's venomous keeper, and a lot of people know her. She is a group that they founded a while back called Anti-Venom Support Group.
Yeah.
And it is to connect you with anti-venom in the case of a bite for venomous keepers, and kind of trying to do the same. There you go. And she's right here in Houston. Remember when we saw the mambas at the thing and she was telling us that, oh, those are both boys. They definitely weren't trying to mate each other because they were her mambas. That was her. And she's, obviously been in our chat before when we talked about it. Yep.
So I think that is a logical way to do it. And I think the problem is, and here comes the problem with some of the people in our hobby. Some of the people in our hobby don't like to be on list, right? They have a huge fear of being on a list. But this may be a list it's a necessary evil. I guess, even though I don't think it's an evil. I think the idea of 100 people in an area keeping monocle cobras, because let's face it, there's probably 100 monocle cobras in the greater Texas, in the greater Houston area.
That's more than that.
300, yeah. So having some anti-venom for monocle cobras stored in a central location would cost probably people a fraction of what it really costs, because there's so many people that would be putting into it and so few people having to pull from it that it's worth it. And if it goes bad, it goes bad, but you paid your insurance for that year, whatever it was, to have that anti-venom there. Next year you pay your insurance again to have that anti-venom on hand. So actually I thought Teddy, that was a great idea, and Zoe Renee's got that system kind of running up, but I think that may be something they need to start trying to do. They really need to start. Again, you'd have to get venomous people to admit they have them. And there's a lot of venomous stuff that people are never going to admit they have in their house or collection. So that's the other tricky part of that. But what is your opinion on a system like that?
I think that, the getting people to, I think, like you said, probably the biggest problem is getting people to subscribe or participate in a program like that. Then you might have some issues too on the other end of hospitals being willing or unwilling to administer that medication. So you may even have to go a step further and not only have that medication on hand, but have somebody willing to administer it as well. Because if hospital doesn't know where it came from and they can't verify it, they can't verify the cold chain. And there's some other issues there that might increase the liability for the hospital that they may balk at. So you probably need somebody willing to administer the medication also. But that's probably easily solved. I don't think that'd be a huge hurdle. I think the bigger issue is probably, like you said, getting people to participate. People worrying that, this animal's legal now, but maybe next year it's not. And if I'm on the list, they're going to come find me next year when it's not, that kind of thing. And, that's probably a valid concern.
And that's also, again, a kind of a mirroring of the gun people too, right? There's a lot of people that aren't going to tell you that they have guns at their house.
Yeah, because they don't want to be on the list, right? They don't want anybody to come knocking on the door looking for it. Yeah, and I think there's something to that. I think that's a valid concern.
So that is an issue. But Nathan, who's in the chat, he says he's heard no anti-venom for monocle cobras. I don't know. I can't.
I'm just pulled up an article that there was an anti-venom approved in early 2024. I tried to post it in there, but it the chat blocked me putting the article in there.
So Megan says she thinks the biggest issue is kind of tying into what I said, was there's a lot of venomous keepers who just don't care, which I think the loudest keepers tend to be the ones that don't care. I think the quieter ones do. And I think there's a lot of the quieter ones we don't hear them because they're quieter. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing and not trying to get people to think they're cool because they can have whatever it is. But that is an issue. She said they're not interested in being responsible. Look at how many people are openly supporting this moron who's a piece of shit. He is a piece of shit just as a human. But I find it hard for anybody to fully support. I can't see any logical reason. So it's all illogical for someone to support him and say he's fine. What he was doing was fine. And I hate when people are like, well, he knows the animals and he knows how to act and how to. No, look, I've always said, I still love Crocodile Hunter, right? Steve Irwin is a hero of mine. And I've always said he understands the situation. But I don't think he ever entered into a situation thinking the thing would not try and kill him at any moment. Right? And I think that's the difference is this guy was holding that snake with the idea in his head that this snake will not try and kill him.
Yeah, I think we definitively proved that
if you watch that, right. If you watch the video of him with the inland taipan, he's claiming that he can control which way this. He says in there, it can't bite me because of the way I'm holding it. I can control which way it goes. Apparently not, bud.
Man, must have lost control.
Yeah.
Nathan said, I keep a couple of copperheads, but I solely rely on hospitals if anything ever happened. Then again, being in Georgia, the only venomous we can keep are local, therefore should be available at any hospitals in my region. I think if you're keeping exotic venomous, then they should ensure that antivenom is at the hospital or near them. And if not, then to provide it in case of emergency. Yeah. Like I said, with native stuff, it's different, right? It's going to be there. So this is the longest name. Critters of the World and Southern Outdoor Education. It's a very long name for a Facebook person. But anyways, They should have their own supply of antivenom. I'll look at them trying to be fancy by saying antivenom. Fancy people. I love that was one argument that happened this week. It's antivenom. It's antivenom. Yes. The answer is yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Which you know what I'm talking about. Darren says, if I owned Venomous, I wouldn't want. Darren only owns like 2 reptiles. I don't think he gets to vote. He's the only person on earth that I know that owns 2 snakes. That's it. I've never met anybody else on earth that's ever owned just 2 snakes. Not by like right now. Right now.
True.
But you would have more if you could.
I'm about to have 0.
I know.
Yeah. Finally got a carpet python and I'm going to have to get rid of it because my apartment complex got a new manager and the old manager liked snakes and the new one absolutely hates them and said, nope, can't keep it.
What kind of carpet did you get?
He's a hypo bredli.
Really pretty hypo brettles.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
And he's supposedly het stonewash.
I'm just saying, I have a
cool.
email here.
Throwing it out there.
Saying the mail needs a friend. So Megan said, no matter what animal you keep, dogs, horses, reptiles, etc., it's your responsibility as a keeper to be prepared for emergencies, including stocking your own antivenom, especially when you're keeping a species that requires specialized antivenom. It's incredibly irresponsible to keep venomous reptiles and not be prepared for a worst case scenario. And going in with the mindset you can just rely on a zoo to provide antivenom as needed.
Yep. I think James froze up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. That happens about once an episode. James has expensive internet that doesn't work half the time.
Well, we've hit the quota then. Good.
Yeah. And then I usually am like not engaged in the conversation at the moment that it freezes. So I'm like trying to carry
there we go. We're back.
Podcast.
He's back.
Hey.
I was continuing over here and I figured I'd eventually get back with you.
Yeah.
I'd brought up the whole that Megan had brought up the whole thing about zoos donating the antivenom, and sometimes they donate at their own cost, and that does happen. And I was saying that sometimes they don't get paid back for that antivenom, and that does cost them money. And they're not running a charity, so.
Timothy said that.
What?
I'm sorry. In the chat, Timothy said that inland was rattling a tail and showed signs of distress. The Mamba video he put out, I thought for sure he was going to get bit. I don't know if you watched the Mamba video.
No.
He's like, this green is like nose at his hand, and he's just like grabbing it by the body and picking it up, and its nose is right here. And I'm like,
I watched one where he's holding 2 boom slings, just like they were corn snakes.
Yeah. Or the big ass Eastern Diamondback.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah.
But you can hold those just right where they won't bite you. Did you know that?
Apparently not.
If you hold it just right.
Yeah.
Joe Smith, again, the whitest, most boring name I've ever heard. Joe Smith. I understand the issue. However, getting access to exotic antivenom can be very difficult. I think you should at least keep a bite protocol, which we talked about. I said, and don't free handle venomous snakes. Yes. that is probably
it's a good tip.
That is, you know what? If someone just would have told him that, right? The rest of the hobby's at fault. If y'all just would have told the poor guy to not do that, I'm sure he would have taken that advice freely and been very generous with it. What a dumbass. Laura had a big long response. I appreciate it, Laura. I think it's about everything else that we've said. It's pretty much everybody. Yeah, the rest of them pretty.
Did he freeze again?
I think he did.
Would appear to be so. Yeah. Have you seen this? So I'm just going to change subjects until he comes back. Have you seen this Bengal tiger that escaped from a zoo in Mexico right across the border?
I have not.
Yeah. And they're like, it's like on the Rio. Nice. And it's like, that thing could just swim in the river and be in Texas in 5 minutes. And they were afraid it was in Texas, but apparently they spotted it near the zoo yesterday, tried to dart it, and were unsuccessful, and it ran in. You know how that brush is down in that part of
And of course, I'm not going to edit this. There we go.
Hey, there he is.
It's a risk of offending some people. That could be a new immigration policy right there.
Yeah. We were talking about the tiger that escaped from the zoo just across the border of Mexico.
The one that was in Alvin or Manville the other day.
Yeah, people are posting it everywhere.
Everywhere. And I saw a follow-up story where it never left Mexico. It's like at the zoo, like outside the zoo still.
Yeah.
It probably thinks that's its home. I mean,
Like I think they said though it has killed a few pigs and rabbits or chickens in
gotta
the
eat.
area. But I'm getting very fed up with this internet. I need my internet to keep working because I'm now getting rid of DirecTV and I'm moving to YouTube TV. And if I don't have internet, then I have nothing. So I'm gonna need this internet to stop doing that.
You doing that for a Sunday ticket or some other reason?
Both. One. All right, so we're gonna jump off the venomous thing for a second, just because it's the podcast and we just do whatever. I've had DirecTV for a long time, and one thing that pisses me off with DirecTV is when they have their spats with whatever network that like their contract spats, and right now they're having one with Disney.
ESPN. Yeah.
So I'm right at the beginning of fucking football season. Come on. So I've lost all ESPNs, ABC, Disney. I think Nat Geo was on there.
Probably.
All of it. And the problem is, I pay for ESPN Plus, but ESPN Plus doesn't allow you to watch the ESPN TV channels unless you have a cable provider, and they don't currently get along with my cable provider. So I started looking at other options, and I looked at was it Xfinity, which is still. I pay shit ton. I pay a lot. It's a lot in DirecTV every month. I think it's like $200 and something, but it's a lot. And then I saw YouTube TV, which does have Sunday Ticket now because I used to have it on DirecTV.
Right.
And then it's a fraction of the cost to get YouTube TV, still get all the movie channels I had. And even right now for the few months where I have NFL Sunday Ticket, I'm still paying less for all of that than I was just for DirecTV. So I'm going to go to streaming. Everyone I've talked to that has done it has enjoyed it. I guess it's 2024. I just need to do it.
I did it like 2 years ago, and it's been great.
So YouTube TV so far, and my big problem was always I need a DVR, but they have one. It's an unlimited cloud DVR, and I can access stuff at any point.
They caught that tiger.
Did they? They were talking about putting traps out.
Yeah, here's a story that just came out an hour ago that it was caught in one of those traps.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't
and the government sees them taking it to their national zoo.
Yeah, I think that zoo's not going to have a tiger for a while.
No.
I also think someone has already been fired for sure.
Yeah, probably some protocols.
They said it destroyed its enclosure. The mesh on its enclosure was destroyed.
So they probably used.
It's also a zoo in Reynosa, Mexico. So I don't know.
True.
It's probably kind of like the tiger on I-10 that was there forever.
Oh God, that place was horrible.
Yeah.
What cracked me up with the tiger on I-10 in Louisiana was how when the state told they couldn't have one, they put up a GoFundMe or whatever, a petition, and everybody's like, "Yeah, we're not fucking signing that. We don't think you should have a tiger.
Right.
You're not in the right here. The state's right. You don't need a tiger there at a gas station on the side of the interstate. It's on I-10 outside of this side of Baton Rouge.
Wow. Okay.
And it's like the tiger stop is what it's called. And they had a tiger, and the cage, the enclosure was no more than 10 foot tall. And it was all concrete. And I'm like, it's not 1940. So having a tiger at a roadside thing is not a thing anymore. You don't need it.
It's not 1948 anymore.
Yeah. And they just tore that one down and built a brand new big huge gas station that's still called the Tiger Stop. But no tiger. They have a stuffed tiger inside.
Yeah.
People see that and they're like, people shouldn't have tigers in captivity. And I'm like, go see Mike the tiger at LSU. That fucking facility is insane for a tiger. And it's one cat gets to have that entire thing. Although I love people like, it needs a friend. I'm like, then you don't know how tigers work.
Yeah. It probably gets awesome care too, right? I mean,
has its own vet staff. Yeah, I had a kid that used to be a volunteer at the zoo that went to LSU for vet school, and he got to be on the vet crew for Mike the tiger. And he gets his own vet staff, and he's got this massive multi-million-dollar enclosure, and they're all rescues. Everyone that LSU ever gets is a rescue.
That's cool too.
So. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I bet what they had down there is, and we had some cages like this. There is a mesh, but they come in different grades, and also if you don't keep it up, it can definitely break down over time. And it's strong. The higher grade can hold a tiger, but if it's a cheap ass zoo in Mexico, it may not be the mesh that tore. It could easily be the connections for the mesh or the rusted frame that they screwed it to or whatever that it probably escaped from. So
Mike's enclosure is a 3.7 million, 15,000 square foot enclosure.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
It's massive. And that's probably just the outside pin part. Like there's a whole inside part for them too. And that thing is spoiled. So I forget where I was going. Anyways, I got off topic about YouTube TV. Anybody out there, if you have YouTube TV, tell me if you like it, because I think I'm gonna go with it. I like it so far.
I don't do YouTube. I looked at the Sunday Ticket, but man, they just want too much for it. I can't.
Well, with YouTube TV, I think it's like $98 a month, but that's only for 4 months.
Season. Yeah.
So it's still less than my DirecTV. And shit, I used to pay DirecTV for Sunday Ticket, so I used to pay DirecTV what I'm paying them plus Sunday Ticket.
Yeah.
And now I'm paying for all that for less than that.
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, I've entered 2024 and finally decided that I'm just gonna go streaming. So now I need to call DirecTV and tell them to get their crap.
They'll probably want you to ship it at your cost.
It will sit here forever. But anyways, where was I? So yeah, all that venomous stuff happened this week, and that was very interesting. Anybody out there, if you have an opinion, you can still go comment, tell us your opinion. You heard our opinions on that. I just, in a perfect world, everybody would have their own anti-venom, but we understand how that works. Like I said, I think the group mentality for anti-venom is probably your best fix to be affordable and still do it. You do have to figure that the problem is, like you said, hospitals can't just take whatever. So I guess maybe that's the question we're going to put on the board for when we have Dr. Green on eventually. It's like, hey, if this is a plan, how could this plan work in your situation?
I like that. That's a good idea, because I'd actually like to hear some folks comment on that too. I hadn't thought of that before tonight, but I think that's a good idea too, because I do think there's some issues there and how that anti-venom would then get distributed or administered. But
yeah,
maybe they've got I'm not a doctor, obviously. I don't work in a hospital, so maybe they've already got something in place for stuff like that, and I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, because you can't just keep it at Jim's house, because if Jim's house loses power for the night, then that stuff's ruined, right? And if he doesn't realize it loses power and clicks back on later on, it's still bad. Like, it's got to be at a place that has constant power and backup power and all this stuff. And so it may have to be a matter of, and I don't even know if it's possible, because the way hospitals are, because of the problem is we live in a society where everyone likes to sue fucking everyone, which makes doing a lot of stuff near impossible nowadays.
That's why I thought about it from a liability point of view, because if you just show up with a vial of something from Jim's house, if I was the ER nurse or the ER doctor, I'd be like, no. Yeah,
so like it may be a matter if you can get hospitals to agree to a small anti-venom fridge, a small footprint somewhere in their hospital where they keep that stuff, and it stays stocked by a private,
works off their generator, their backup generator. Yep.
And then the private group is in charge of stocking and restocking whenever it goes bad. That might be viable. And if you could do that in several big cities across the country, then anti-venom's within range of anybody at that point. And we fix a lot of these problems. Now, it does not fix stupidity, right? That's still going to happen. And again, I say you can't be in any hobby, especially a hobby that has people fighting against it, that hobby, and just ignore stuff happening. You can't do that. Like, you could maybe be in like crocheting as a hobby and say, I don't care what grandma does when she crochets. Yeah, that's fine. It's not going to affect your ability to put yarn together. But it's different than this. We see it every year where they constantly try to fight us.
Yep.
Well, hopefully if you're watching the show, you're a member of USARC and you're getting their alerts. And I mean, you can see it almost every day or every week, somewhere in the country where somebody's trying to pass a law that's restricting what we can do or can't do.
Yep.
And sometimes they're so ridiculous. The laws are just so ridiculous.
And some are very foolish.
The traveling zoo ones kill me, because I'm like, okay, I get, in a lot of these laws, I get the original meaning behind some of these laws. Some of them, the original meaning was just because they're assholes. But I get some of it, like the traveling educational zoo things. Not everybody should be doing that, right? There should definitely be laws guarding that, but it should not be outlawing traveling animal shows, which is what we saw that pop up in several states over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
These random things trying to outlaw traveling shows. I'm like, we can't do that, because we know a lot of people in the hobby that do those, and they do them right.
Yes.
And those are necessary. Look, we've talked about it on here before. A lot of people can remember in middle school or elementary school when the reptile person showed up at your zoo. Again, we have no fucking clue who that guy was, but he brought snakes and alligators and all sorts of shit. And we remember that as adults.
Usually it was the best day ever at school, right? I mean, that was.
Yeah. They're like, who wants to go over here and help hold the snake? Me. I want to come hold the snake.
Yeah.
But that shit
like your local herp society too. For those that live in here, we have a local herp society, and they put on an event or they have a booth at an event where they have animals. Is that now a traveling show because they brought animals there to educate the public?
Yeah. I mean, like Megan's event, does that count? I mean, it sets up people bring animals.
Good example. Yeah.
I used to do one in Louisiana like that, where once a year we brought reptiles out, and it was a huge event. We'd bring in 2,000 people in a day to that, and like that's 2,000 people who were not reptile people, really. I mean, we've been to Megan's event. The people coming to that event are not reptile people. They're people who just want to come, and those are the people we need to reach. And that's another thing we talk about it a lot on here, especially vending shows, right? We know reptile people in general, and again, if you come to Carpetfest, you'll see it. In general, reptile people are weird. Like we just are. I'll lump myself in. We are some much weirder than others, and we're not all people. We're definitely our people. Like if you put us around reptile people, we're good. But you watch people that have a hard time vending a show or get so fed up with customers who are not. They're just kind of the going to the zoo kind of customers. I'm like, as someone in this hobby, that needs to be the person you talk to, right? Because if you can normalize this whole thing that they're seeing, which is, come on, let's face it, if you've never been to an expo and you've never been a reptile person and you walk into a reptile expo, that's a fucking weird place to be. If you've never seen 30,000 snakes in little plastic cups, a tub with crocodiles and caiman in it, right? Yeah. A little plastic cup with a buzzing rattlesnake over here. Like, that's a super weird thing. And so you've got to normalize that to all those people. And so those 2,000-3,000 people coming in that door that aren't reptile people, you've got to be able to talk to them. So events like what Megan's doing, it's important to get non-reptile people. Carpetfest, it's important to bring non-reptile people.
Yeah, please do. Well, there'll be plenty of people there to talk to that can. I mean, there'll be a lot of experienced people there, not just Ari and Q and Quetzal or Ryu, but I mean, there'll be a lot of people there to talk to, and there'll be awesome animals to look at. So events like that, like you said, are super important. You're talking about expos and stuff too. I mean, think about all the parents that are bringing their kids reluctantly because they hate snakes or they think they hate snakes, but the kid saw the snake guy at the school and now wants to get one. And you're right; those are the people we need to be reaching out and talking to and changing the hearts and minds of those folks. And I hate that phrase, but I mean, really, that's what it is, right? You want to change that perception, that we have out there in the public sometimes.
So Timothy, I agree. We do have to police ourselves, but some of it's hard.
It's hard to police ourselves. Yeah, that's exactly. How do you do that?
I mean, we say no one should have sold to him because we see this stuff online, but if someone's just seeing him at a show and he seems like he knows what he's talking about and he's not saying the stupid, ridiculous shit you see him post online, you think, well, this is what he's talking about. Why would I not? I mean, look how many people get to buy a gun that we think are crazy and probably should own a gun. We still get to own a gun. Like they went through the process to do it.
Yeah.
But so that's hard. I agree. I think we need to. The problem is we've all got to be willing to work together, and he obviously was not willing to work with a lot of people because a lot of people have offered. It's a different situation. You can't fix it.
Katie must be at Walmart.
Yes.
She just sent me a picture from Walmart.
Yeah. They said they're like, do you need anything from Walmart? It's like, no, I'm good. I should say ice cream, but I already had some ice cream. So yeah, pleasing is hard. But again, like I said, we need one of my favorite things as shows is so I also breed with my boas. I also breed Samboas, and I love Samboas because I can get a mom and a kid hooked on a Samboa much easier than I could on a larger boa. It's cute. It's little. I show them how big the adults get. And
I sold a bunch of Samboas for you.
Yeah. It's like a gateway drug. It's a gateway snake that can get in. It's the same with like leopard geckos, right? We can talk anybody into a leopard gecko for their kid because it goes in a little tank. It's easy.
Well, dude, you made me a believer of that, having the adult there.
Yes.
That's such an easy conversation starter.
Well, because a lot of people walk up and think, boa, these get huge. I'm like, nope. Here's the adult, full grown. But I love those. I love those getting to talk to
first-time
those.
keepers anyway, usually, right? I mean, they don't need to be going home with the mainland retic or a,
No.
No.
you know what I mean? Like, or, I mean, and let's be honest, they don't need to be going home with a sulcata either, right? So,
Oh, no.
I mean, the more education you can provide them, the better decision they make, and the more successful the hobby is going to be in the long term.
Yeah, it's so fun to get, especially get that mom in there who, look, Corey's a good example. Corey was not a reptile person.
Right.
Corey's kid got a ball python.
Yeah.
And then now look at Corey. Right?
Yeah.
That I mean, don't get me, that's an extreme case. Not everyone's going to quit their lawyer job, travel the world, take pictures of reptiles, and breed lizards. That's not going to be the fixture, right? But she's a great example of someone got into there and realized she liked this stuff. And it's we don't need someone that everyone doesn't need to have 30, 40 snakes in their house. But if we can normalize every 10 families having some sort of a reptile or amphibian,
right?
And that's still a shit ton. I mean, that's way higher. It's really gonna be like every one in like 60, 70, maybe, or 100. But that's still, we've got to make it so like every time you have a conversation with somebody about a reptile, their first story isn't, oh yeah, I killed this snake once. It needs to be, oh yeah, my neighbor, my brother, I had a lizard, a snake, a frog, right?
Or it chased me, or yeah.
It chased my cousin's ants. I promise it happened. They told me. And then they fell into a nest of them. A whole nest of them.
Lie to me.
They'd never make anything up.
Right.
That nest was right next to a black panther.
Corey's a great example. I like her story. She's an awesome keeper, and she's a better person. So another one of our sponsors for Texas Carpetfest 24 is Corey. So we're
she's okay. She's an all right person. I mean, this Leachianus behind me did come from her as a gift. So I mean,
is that right? Very cool.
There's that.
We went to Reptilandia. We went by her house to get your free lychee. So you better be saying nice things about Corey.
Who laid eggs? Not good eggs, but laid eggs, which was kind of cool. Just to, like, open the cage, go, look, lychee eggs. So for a minute, I could feel like, why did my brain just go blank? Who was I going to say, Robert? Fuck.
What?
Lychees.
Carl?
Jesus Christ. Names. I don't understand.
Carl
I felt
Vargas?
like Carl for a minute. Yeah. Carl Vargas. I had lychees. I was just like Carl. He and I are the same. Just like when I bred those ball pythons, I'm just like Justin Kabilka. Same. No difference. I don't see the difference. I don't understand what people are talking about. Oh man. Anyway,
Corey's work with the monitors is awesome. She's been so successful at that so early. I think she had a good weekend this past weekend in the RBC, but it's just fun to see that journey too, right? Like you said, starting with ball python for a kid, and to do ball pythons, to do hog noses, do Morelia and carpets, and then now do monitors, and be a success every step of the way, and just be a good person, and to be supportive of other keepers, and to be supportive of the hobby. We need more Corys.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think I think one thing that's good is no one has shit on her for things they shit on other people about. She has changed species, several in the last 3 or 4 years, right? Yeah. But I think that is fine. Like the way she's done it is fine. She didn't get 30 different species of one of it and then just get over it. She tried this, it wasn't right. She tried this, it wasn't right. And now she's found this. And who says she sticks with this? In a year, she may find something else, but she'll probably be successful at it.
Well, and she also didn't buy $10,000 worth and then sell them off for pennies on the dollar because she couldn't breed it. She successfully bred every step of the way.
Yes.
She clearly knows what she's doing.
Those little freaky monitors. I'm not gonna lie, those little
cool stuff, man. She had some great looking stuff on her table this weekend. It was pretty.
What are the King's monitors? Those little ones are freaking awesome. I want those things. She has those. They only get like leopard gecko size. Those things are amazing. Although I still want Kimberly rock monitors at some point too.
I don't know if she had any of those, but I know she has.
Does. She had she has a lot of Ackies now, and then she had something. What else did she have? She didn't have Kimberly. At one point she had Pilbara rock monitors, and then she got rid of them. She's really focusing mainly on the tree monitors and Ackies.
Yeah, and
she's doing great at
photography, which she's doing great at too. So
yeah, the video that got posted a couple days ago of her laying on the ground taking a picture, and then it pans over to like 20 feet away of a caiman just sitting there staring at her. I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And then her pictures of like 7 trillion came in this one little river, all their eyes just sticking above the water. It's I need to go on a trip somewhere. I just need to go. I keep saying that I haven't done West Texas yet. We got to go to West Texas, and then I can think about like the Amazon.
Okay, and you mentioned it earlier. Lewis is your guy there, right?
Yes.
Lewis does a lot of herping, and those guys are great too. I love Lewis and Liz. But I mean, there's your guy there because he's got a really nice, and he's got a nice collection of West Texas stuff too, right? With the Alterna and the Trans-Pecos.
Yeah. I just want to see the little odds and ends snakes out west. I want to see what is it, the long nose. Long nose.
Yeah.
I want to see a long nose snake. I'm weird. I don't really care if I see an Alterna. I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's blasphemy."
Yeah, you would. A lot of people say that. I'd like to see one, if nothing else, just to say I saw one and check.
I mean, I guess that's the only reason. It's not like I need to go see. Like, there are snakes on Earth I want to go see in the wild, and I may never get to. Hopefully one day I can. Like, I would love to see a boa constrictor in the wild in South America.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Or like a Brazilian rainbow boa in the wild in South America. Or I'd love to go find a rubber boa in the wild in North America. Like, that would be the coolest thing to me. But like Alterna, I'm just like go, yeah, I saw one. So I'm like the rest of y'all know. I've seen one. It was on a rock next to a road. It looked like an Alterna.
Cool. I like Subox better. I like Trans-Pecos better. But I mean, any of them would be cool to go see.
Robert likes those.
I love.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Don't they have the big goofy eyes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big bug eyes. Yeah, I used to have a 1.2 pair on, or a 1.2 trio when I was younger, and I sold them and still regret it. So,
I had a 1.1 and the male died on me, and I sold the female to Chris Drake, and I think he got eggs from her this year. I need to ask him.
Nice.
Yeah,
so that's the problem with having one male is if he doesn't do the job or something happens, and you're
actually,
yeah,
I still have one. I have a male. Well, my soon-to-be ex-wife has it, but yeah, I have a male. He had a stumped tail. His tail had gotten cut off at some point in his life before he was collected, and he was a super cool snake. But yeah, I forgot I had that. I had a lot of things that I don't have anymore.
You might as well just forget you had it too. It'll feel better if you just keep forgetting you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go. I just need to go herping. Like, we need to go. The weather's getting right. We need to go herping around here, Robert. Just go road cruising.
Yeah.
Well,
a friend of mine was at
for you guys. You guys should do some sort of Reptile Gumbo West Texas herping trip with Lewis. And there's your built-in. There's a couple built-in shows, and
all right, I'm gonna hit up Blue. We gotta figure out something.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I sent a friend of mine down our road the other night, James.
Did they find anything?
Yeah, they found a couple cottonmouths, of course.
She's no water snakes.
And a bunch of water snakes.
Yeah, a bunch of water snakes. Yeah,
it was Saturday night. They found like 6 or 7, all broadbands.
Really? There's some pretty broadbands out there. That is one. So Nerodia, I don't like water snakes. As pets, I don't like water snakes. But there are some really pretty broadband water snakes I've caught in the wild that I'm like, God, I wish you just didn't suck as a pet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we found that one that day in the middle of the road down there on that road that's going to go unnamed. And remember, it was like flipping upside down trying to bite me.
I think it was leaping in the air. Never had a cottonmouth in that.
And but that thing was gorgeous, man. Gorgeous.
All right, Lewis, I need to figure out when and how much it will cost me and where we're going. But you tell me, and we'll figure it out. I need to go find stuff that I've never seen before.
James has never seen any trucks in the wild.
I have never seen any trucks in the wild.
Come on.
I've never seen a rattlesnake in the wild. I've released rattlesnakes back into the wild, but I've never seen a rattlesnake in the wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
cool.
I'd love to see one. I'd love to see honestly, a box turtle walking across the road really makes me excited too. So I don't care. You know what doesn't make me excited? Soft shell turtles, because they're fucking fast. They.
It was hilarious. I wish I would have had that on video. He bent down and picked this soft shell up out of the middle of the road, and I knew it was going to happen. And that thing was like,
there's no way though you thought it would move that fast. That's the fastest I've seen an animal move in my entire life. Literally, if you would have blinked, that thing covered 15 yards in less than a second. I've never realized that a turtle could move that. That thing shot off the road.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was big too. Like it was a massive soft shell. And that thing just booked it.
Yeah.
I bet Liz could hook you up, and that'd be some good shows too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can figure that out. We can do that.
Yep.
I have
That's
3 weeks of vacation still I got to use before the end of the year, James.
Yeah, that's not how that works as teachers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're like, we give you vacation. It's called Christmas and Thanksgiving. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Got that extra day.
Get my 3-day weekends here or there.
What age group do you teach, if you don't mind me asking?
High school.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than middle school. I couldn't do middle school. They're
That would
gross.
be worse. I'd agree with that. That's probably worse. Yeah.
They're less human and they smell bad. Well, smell worse. So I couldn't do that.
That's tough.
Like I went to go watch my daughter play volleyball the other night. She's in 8th grade, and so I'm sitting there watching, and then they're just surrounded by middle school kids. I'm like, oh fuck this. There's no way I could teach these kids because I'm sitting there going, I just want to tell them to shut up right now, but I can't because I'm not their teacher or their parent. I don't even know these kids. I just don't want to hear them. And like, oh, it was bad.
That's a tough age, 8th grade. It's an awkward age.
Weird ass kids.
Yeah.
I'm speaking of that, my weird ass kid will be home at some point. But anyways, we can wrap this up. We've been blabbering for an hour and a half. I
came home from work and took a nap and did not eat dinner before this, so I'm hungry.
I refried fried rice that I made last night. And it was actually pretty good. Refried.
Right.
So I made it's spam fried rice. So it's super official fried rice because it's bacon flavored spam, which by the way, if you're not eating bacon flavored spam, you're just doing it wrong. Bacon flavored spam.
And I probably won't.
You're doing it wrong, Robert.
I'm not even sure I knew that was a thing.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Cut it
Okay.
thinly, fry it, melt some cheese on it, and put it in some toast with between 2 pieces of toast with some mustard. Makes the best sandwich.
Get your monthly intake of sodium right there in one serving.
And it's great. Look, we don't call it sodium, just call it electrolytes. I'm getting my electrolytes.
Well, it is an electrolyte. That's true. Yeah.
But if you just call it electrolytes, it sounds good. Gatorade makes an entire company off of that. Got to get your electrolytes. So.
Very successful, no less. Yeah.
So when I'm eating McDonald's French fries, I'm not eating a bunch of carbs. I'm eating electrolytes.
Yeah. True.
And they help keep you alive. Robert, are you going to make something? Or are you going to order something and hope that a homeless guy doesn't steal it off y'all's front porch?
I'm probably just going to make something real quick because it's late.
Robert's groceries got stolen by a homeless guy last week.
No way. Really?
I had ordered Walmart delivery and they put it. I live in like Rice Military area of Houston, like, the middle of 610 and I-10. I mean, I live at like I-10 and Shepherd. And the Walmart delivery driver didn't try to contact me, didn't anything, and just left them on the curb outside the apartment complex. And by the time I got down there, they were gone.
Oh, well, yeah. Somebody said, look, free groceries.
Yeah, they got some bacon and some chicken breast and some ground turkey that I cooked for the dog. And
So Timothy wants to know what's the best whiskey on that shelf. I don't see Blanton's up there.
Best is I don't know. I think best is a little bit subjective. I like a lot of rye whiskeys, and that's what a lot of that is up there. I've got some Bullet Rye up there that I really like. That's probably my favorite. I got some Whiskey Pig up there, or Whistle Pig rather.
Whistle Pig.
I like their rye whiskeys as well. So I do a lot of rye whiskeys.
All my whiskey knowledge comes from my dad and all of his friends when we hang out because I don't drink, but they all drink really good whiskey. So I've learned what good whiskey is, and that it's not Jack Daniels.
Right. Yeah. I think there's one bottle of that up there, but that's about it. Not my favorite.
So we used to go on a big fishing trip every year down in South Louisiana, and everyone would bring their alcohol, and it kind of all got put on the picnic table underneath the house because it was up on stilts because we're down in the marsh. And it would be all these really nice whiskeys. And the first year, my dad, when he brought gin, it's Bombay Sapphire gin, which is blue. And so they kept talking about his mouthwash for the entire weekend that I was there. Well, it was like a couple years later, some other guys came along on this trip. And in Louisiana, for those that don't know, in Louisiana, you can buy liquor fucking everywhere.
Yep.
Like, I know that sounds like an over-exaggerate. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
And so when these guys from Alabama came that had never been, they stopped at a Walmart and then lost their shit because liquor. And they ended up buying, this one dude bought this giant thing of Jack Daniels, thought he was the shit. He bought this huge bottle of Jack Daniels. I puts it down on the table. Everybody's like, the fuck is that? And he's like, oh, I got it cheap. And they're like, yeah, Yeah, you did. And it didn't get touched once the entire weekend we were there. So
when I was younger, I worked offshore for a minute, and yeah, your first time going through Louisiana, for me anyway, as a Texas kid going through Louisiana, and you're like, okay, there's 7-Eleven and there's whiskey and wine and gin, and then you go to Walmart and it's the same thing, and you go to
Walgreens.
Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was a little bit of surprise. Not an unwelcome one, but it was a surprise. Yeah.
There's nothing weirder than going to a drive-through daiquiri and them offering you samples.
Well, I grew up in a town with a beer barn, so I mean it was kind of close to that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
First time I've moved to Louisiana, we went to one. They're like, "Would you like to try this?" I'm like, "I'm driving." Like, yeah, you can still try. I'm like, "How many can I try before you're all like, you can't try?" Because they have like 70 up there. I'm like, if I try all of them, I'm gonna be shit faced when I drive away from here.
Yeah, gotta love that about Louisiana, right?
I love that it's not an open container if the paper is still on top of the straw.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that. That's
I didn't know that was the dividing line. That's awesome.
That's it. As long as they leave that little piece of paper covering the top of the straw, it's a closed container.
That's awesome. So what you're telling me is I need to have lots of those little pieces of paper.
Yes.
So,
just keep a straw that has that so you can hurry up and throw that straw in.
Right.
But I used to go across from the zoo where I worked. There was a daiquiri place, but they also had like the best ices. So I'd go over there and get like a Coke icy. But I'd always want the largest they could give me, which was not an icy cup. It was their large daiquiri cup. And I was like, I just want an icy, but in a large daiquiri cup. And then driving away, I'm always drinking. I'm like, one day I'm going to get pulled over by a cop and have to convince them as a grown man I'm drinking a Coke icy and not a daiquiri driving away from this frozen daiquiri place. It never happened. I was like, God, that's going to be the weirdest art. Like, I swear, officer, it's a daiquiri. It's not daiquiri. It's an icy. And I'm a grown man.
I've only had two, I promise.
I'm good to drive. I swear. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Here, before we go real quick, I want to there are a couple things on our discussion page I wanted to show. This one I've had it pulled up on my screen for forever, so it keeps showing, and I just want to show everybody it's this cool like snail eating snake, which I think snail eating snakes are freakishly weird. But here it is. Just sucking the snail out of the shell. If no one's ever seen a snail eating snake, it's the weirdest thing.
I have not. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, you can see him working it down and like using his teeth to pull it out of there. Look at this snail, just like, I'm just cruising around here. Don't know any better. About to get eaten by the that snake's like hunting it down, like he really needs to hunt a snail.
Yeah, where's it gonna go, right?
Oh God, I'm gonna sneak up on this thing. If I don't move slow, it may move a little faster. And bam. Escargot.
There you go. Get your snack.
That's crazy. Nathan posted these from Reptile Report from Red Mountain Herpculture. So it's a bunch of chondros. I'm still an emerald tree boa person more than a chondro person, but there's some cool chondros. I just love the whole chondro hobby where like so many, especially like carpets, right? A lot of people were anti mixing this and that, and chondro guys are like, no, we've done that for forever. We just call them designers.
Yeah, they've done it right, man. Just call them designers. Don't call them mutts. Don't call them mixes or hybrids. Or it's a designer.
Yeah. They don't use that dirty hybrid word. Yeah. And then when you get one that pops out like Bill had, then you go, see, this is what happens when you do it. It's all worth it.
Yep. Bill has an amazing collection, by the way. So,
this is the pictures of him holding the snake, and then later the post asking for anti-venom.
Yeah, our resident. Yeah.
Anyone that inland anti-venom? Best we can do is Walmart extraction kit.
I have not seen one. That's funny. I'm sorry. That's funny.
This is horrible radio because you have no idea, but it's the guys from Pawn Stars.
Right.
And the best they can do is like Walmart extraction kit. This is pretty good. For those that have ever seen the memes where it's the guy putting on clown makeup, starts off with, I'm going to buy an inland taipan. I think I'll make a video. I'll publicly state how easy they are to control. I'll now ask who has access to inland taipan anti-venom. After telling everybody that anti-venom's for pussies. That's the one that gets me. Like, that's the one I think is hilarious. What the? I think it's a frog in this one. It says pregnant creature with gold lace-like eyelids found near river. It's a frog. I've clicked on this one. It's a frog. What the fuck? Oh, it's a bearded dragon. So
happy bearded dragon.
It's what an actual bearded dragon looks like, unlike what we have at reptile shows here.
It's not a hypo strawberry or something.
It's not mixed between 3 different subspecies of
German giant leatherback.
The old Eastern, Central, Southern, Western bearded dragon.
I remember the first time I was talking to somebody about a leatherback, and they're like, "Yeah, you have to put lotion on every day." I was like, "Pass."
It puts the lotion on its skin.
I barely take
I've
care of
seen that
myself.
movie. I'm not doing
fucking
that.
putting lotion on a
Yeah, exactly.
You
There's
keep
a
your
Silence of the
ashy
Lambs
ass
joke in
lizard.
there somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a cool one. Little armadillo lizards where they bite their tail and curl up. So you can see.
It's like a hoop snake.
Yeah, the old hoops that rolls down the hill at you. Except this one actually does curl up. There's the dumbass kid. And then Megan's thing, October 12th, Wildlife Conservation Day, which again, Megan doesn't know this, but she'll be on here in like 3 weeks. She doesn't have an option. So we'll talk about Wildlife Conservation Day. It's the week before Carpetfest.
Yep.
So we have that the weekend before, and then Carpetfest the following weekend. Because she made sure that to not overlap this year.
Yeah, we didn't end up on the same day. That was done on purpose. So
all right. So that is all of our stuff this week. Most of this week was just eaten up by a guy getting bit by a fucking snake that could have been prevented.
yeah, shame that's when we make the news, it's for some knucklehead like that, right? That's another disappointing part of that story, I think. But
Well, yeah, just because there's so many cool things that happen in the hobby. Like, look, we'll go back to Reptilandia. Like, that needs coverage nationwide. That needs to become, you know what I would like to see?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to make a map. I'm going to try and make some sort of virtual map or whatever of reptile hotspots people need to visit. Reptilandia needs to be on there. Kentucky Reptile Zoo, St. Augustine Alligator Farm. I think Fort Worth
Crocodile
Zoo.
Encounter.
Crocodile Encounter.
Crocodile Encounter, yep.
Gotta say Crocodile Encounter because there's a Chinese alligator downstairs. Thanks to them. Again, they need to make sure that I don't own the alligator. It's on loan. Don't want people freaking out. It's on loan. I need to go feed it and then vacuum its food out of the tank because it's a fucking dirty ass eater and gets food everywhere. And he only shits on the rock. He doesn't shit in the water. I have this huge filter to take care of that. Nope. Shits on the rock. And so it just smells like shit in there. And then I have to go in there and clean it up like I'm wiping a baby's ass. But it's totally worth it. I'm not complaining. It's totally worth it. It's Chinese alligator and it's in my house. And I was reheating my refried rice last night or this afternoon. I was like, holy shit, there's a Chinese alligator behind me in my kitchen. So just throwing that out there. For anybody that thinks their collection's cool, it's not Chinese alligator in your kitchen cool. So don't bring animals to Carpetfest. They won't be impressed.
Yeah, leave your animals at home. But we'll feed you. We'll take care of you. If you need a place to stay, reach out to me individually. Just find me on Facebook or Instagram. I'll try to help you locate a place nearby.
Because
worst case scenario, Austin and San Antonio are both 45, 50 minutes away. Obviously, plenty of locations in those places, but we'll come up with something.
Yeah, because when you get there, understand it's in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, there is a campground. It's a new campground that just opened up on Memorial Day weekend called River's Edge Campground. It's literally like a half mile from Ari's place. So if you don't mind camping or you have an RV, that would probably be the best opportunity, the best place. I know they still have some spots left. If you book 2 nights with them, it'll give you a discount.
And if you only drive in at night and drive out at night, you're doing a disservice. You need to try and drive in or out during the daytime just so you can see that whole area. There's a lot of cool stuff in that area. So there's lots of stuff to do. I mean, you can make a whole week or even a weekend out of it. So I mean, we want you to come out to the event, of course, but there's lots of other stuff to do in the Hill Country in Central Texas. So so come out, see us. It'll be fun. I promise.
Yep. You'll have a good time. We're probably going to do a cornhole tournament. And like I said, we're going to feed everybody. It is going to be bring your own, do that with responsible.
Get your cooler, bring your cooler. Don't be an ass. Don't make someone have to ask you to leave. That's really the thing.
We will. Yeah. If you're acting a fool, we're going to punch it because I want to have this event every year. And just because you want to act a fool, I'm not going to put that at risk. So
understand no one there will be impressed by who you are or what you do. We're just all going to have fun. It's not.
Yeah.
So you're not there to impress anybody. Come have fun. Just be an adult.
Yep.
It's very sad to watch people that don't know how to handle their own. No, Norm, no one's bringing ketchup chips. You nasty ass. Go back to Canada. Just go back to Canada. I mean, I get it. You're kind of in Canada already. You're in Oklahoma. That's kind of Canada.
Same.
Nasty ass ketchup chips. I swear, if I see ketchup chips there, we're throwing them away immediately.
None that I'm aware of. If they show up, it wasn't my fault. I didn't bring them. Norm or somebody else brought them.
That's just that is just gross. Anyways, come out and see us.
Yeah,
check out
Michael Pennell coming.
What's that?
Is Michael Pennell coming?
Yeah, Mike and Paul both. Yep.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Mike and Paul both are going to be there.
Mike's kind of a dick, though. Just everybody know that he's kind of a jerk.
That is so not true. That's like the nicest dude ever.
He's not nice at all. That's all fake. Everyone last. No.
And talk about an exception.
Literally on my list of favorite people.
What does he not breed? What has he not been successful with over the years?
Right.
Yeah.
He's the only person I know that has a line named after him.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Impins. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
His dwarf Burmese are awesome. He's got some albino Mexican kings. He's got some really cool stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Mike and Paul both going to be there.
Cool. Good. James, did you freeze? Looks like James hasn't moved.
Again,
yep, he's frozen again.
All right, then.
It would be funny if we both just logged out now. And he came back and we were just gone.
Like those.
Except I think that would mess up the whole recording, I think. Because we always have to wait until he stops.
We'll wait. I'll fill the time. We're Texas Carpet Fest, Saturday, October 19th. Come check us out, 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. If you haven't already, we do have a group on Facebook. Look up or search for Texas Carpet Fest. Oh, lost him altogether. We're also on Instagram. Yeah, we're also on Instagram. Same thing, Texas Carpet Fest. And I'm working on a website, TexasCarpetFest.com. It should be complete by the end of the week, but you can still get on there now and check some things out. So,
yeah, I was just
looking forward to you guys coming out this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's I'm just looking forward to doing something reptile related. So, been a while because I don't vend shows anymore like I was every weekend for the last 5 years.
Are you doing cages anymore or not?
Nope.
No, nothing.
All
right. No. Here we are.
Nope, I had to get a real job again.
Okay. Well, sorry to hear that, man.
Let's try and wrap this up before the internet decides to take it down.
I'm starving, James. I said that 20 minutes ago.
I'm helping you. I'm doing this I'm helping you. Michael, if you want to get a hold of you or find out more information about the event.
He already did all that while you were
yes, but it's not recorded. It's not recorded on here. It's only live.
All right.
Texas Carpet Fest, Saturday, October 19th from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. Come out and check us out. No cost, no entry fees, no tickets. We're just going to have a good time. We do have a Facebook group, Texas Carpet Fest, so you can search that. Please join that. You get some more details there. We also have an Instagram, also Texas Carpet Fest, and working on a website, cleverly named, you won't guess, TexasCarpetFest.com.
Crazy.
I know, right? Who would have thought? It's not 100% right now, but it should be 100% by the end of the week. We got some more information there as well. It's going to be a bring your own event. We're going to do some cornhole. We're going to hang out and have a good time. We'll probably do burgers and dogs, boudin and brats on the grill, plus some snacks. If you want to bring something, you're welcome to do that, but you're not required to. And I hope to see a lot of folks there this year. Yeah.
And I'll go ahead. I'm going to shout out Simply Serpents because I never talk about my own thing, but I actually have babies for sale. So if anybody's looking for boas, hit me up. I'm trying to get the pictures posted on Simply Serpents soon. Or if you come to Conroe, I should have some babies there. If you come to Rosenberg, I'll definitely have some babies there. So I do have babies available. Simply Serpents on Facebook and on Instagram. Also, check out the Reptile Gumbo podcast everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, at gmail.com. My family finally made it home, apparently. We'll be back next week with, I said it earlier. Oh, Corey. We'll be next week with Corey. It'll be next Wednesday. Robert, by the way, we're recording next Wednesday. I never tell you, but it's next Wednesday if you're good. All right. Thanks, Michael. Hang out for a second. Everybody else, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week, and good night.
Thank you, guys.